Welcome back everyone, Mike McConville here one more time, Stratford, Ontario, Canada for StringTechWorkstations. A lot of things have transpired since that last video back in November. It is January 15th, 2022. Belated Happy New Year. When I told my wife back in the fall that I wanted to take a few extra weeks off at Christmas this year, triple bypass open heart surgery was not on my things to do list. But I'm happy to say that thanks to the miracles of modern science and the surgical team at St. Mary's Hospital in KW, I am back and feeling better than ever. Still a little weak, still got I think a few weeks of recovery to go. So I just wanted to quickly bring you up to speed on what I've been up to there the last few weeks. It's about a month since the surgery, and it's time to start another video. So we're going to look at the Stratocaster. This is a kit guitar, of course, and nowadays the industry has completely made the switch now to these kit guitars. I mean, here in Canada, this is from Solo Guitars, and this is a customer I've done a bunch of work for before. Of course, in the States, now they're all over the place. There's Guitar Fetish and WD, and you know, everybody and their mother is making guitar parts and they're bolting them together. But you still need to know all the idiosyncrasies of setup. And what better guitar than a kit Strat to show you that. So I'm going to bring you in step by step as always. I'm going to walk you through exactly what we need to do and what this particular kit guitar needs to ultra tweak it and bring it up to 100%. So step one, before we do anything else, we want to get a tracing off this last fret to get the curvature of the fingerboard in order to make a self-adjusting radius gauge for the bridge saddle. So we're going to start there. Let's have a look. Now, I have had people ask this question in the past. You know, if you have a compound radius, which is quite common these days, you always take the radius off the last fret, which is the fret closest to the bridge. So I'm starting with a tongue depressor, and I'm just tracing the top of that fret. So that's our first move. Now I go over to the radius disc sander and the drill press. I will go back and forth a few times to get this right. It's dead straight right now, so I'm just going to nip it, and then I'll check it again against the radius of the fret. And as I've shown in previous videos, this is operated by an air-activated momentary foot switch. Okay, that's enough to get us started. We'll check it against the guitar again. Bring you in for a close-up one more time. Now we're getting a little closer. Okay, back to the radius sander. And this should, I think this is going to do it for us. Here's our final check for the concave radius against the actual top of the crown of the fret. We're good with that. Now we'll use this concave radius to make a convex radius self-adjusting radius gauge. So we use this concave radius to create a convex radius, and this is our self-adjusting radius gauge. So we have a very low density foam here. We're just going to slip that under the strings. Let's go back to the guitar. The foam is low enough density that it will not hold the strings up. So I'm going to go ahead and do a rough check and just kind of get the guitar tuned to concert pitch, and we're going to check it again. So right now that we've got the strings tensioned to concert pitch, we're going to slip that radius gauge under there. And then next we're going to raise the middle four saddles so those strings are right up out of the way and they clear that gauge completely. The reason we're doing this, we don't want the tension of the middle 4 strings to push the gauge down. We want to start by adjusting the 2 outside strings, 1st and 6th, to the desired action height, and then we'll bring the middle ones down until they just kiss that gauge. I thought I'd give you an A to Z, since I've been missing in action there for the last month and a half. I'm bringing you in so that you get a real sense of the tolerances we're talking here. So this string can come down. We just want to just kiss that little piece of oak I cut out. This one, as soon as you got movement, you know you got room to go. So that little bit of movement tells us that those middle 4 strings do have room to come down. If I look at the 1st string, you can see the actual gauge sink when I touch it. Same with the 6th string. Okay, so this is for you Patreon guys. This is what I've got. I've cut that shelf. This was all done on that disc sander that I keep showing you on the drill press. And we got a nice kind of press fit. So the next step will be to cut those slots. Now, I have a tusk nut that came with the guitar. So I'm kind of using that to verify the spacing. So let's cut that first, and then I'm going to come back. I want to explain how I'm coming up with these values. These are 11 to 49 strings, concert pitch. These are the values that I need to adjust when I play the 12th fret fretted note and I play the open string. This is the amount of displacement note to note that I need to alter that nut. Okay, let's have a look at that nut. So the low E string is 3 cents sharp, so I actually need to cut into the body of the nut thickness to be able to lengthen the string. The A string is 6 cents flat, so it's going to cantilever over the end of the fingerboard, and I've marked that value here. The D was 8 cents flat. It needs to come even more further ahead. The G I haven't marked yet because the G string that was on here initially had a kink in it, so I'm gonna get to that in a minute. The B string, 2nd string, was 3 cents flat. It needs to come ahead of the natural slot. And the 1st string is also 3 cents flat. So the next step I'm making is I'm cutting that elliptical curve. Once again, I do this on the disc sander on the drill press, that radius disc sander. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. That is the elliptical curve that we ended up with. Now when you guys get your 20 packs of compensated nut blanks, I include this thin brass shim stock. Now this needs to be shaped to fit this form. So I have actually shaped that to conform to that curve, and this is where we really fast track this whole process. So it's not just that we fast track it and accomplish the job in a fraction of the time. We can do all of the intonation and cut all of the values in real time. In other words, the guitar is tuned with the strings the customer's using to the pitch the customer's tuning to, and the guitar is tuned right up to concert. In this case it's concert pitch. It's tuned right up to concert right now, and we're going to start with a low E and we'll adjust string to string. This stage can be very deceiving because that open string is now reading flat we have to make sure that we file out on an angle so that we chase the highest point, the focal point, right to the leading edge. We'll get another reading now. Okay, 12th fret. It's still reading flat. I'm going to file that out again. That's perfect. So next string. Now that's reading a little bit flat too, so like I said, it can be very deceiving because you've got to make sure that that slot is filed out properly. So let's do that. Get another reading on that. 12th fret, and that one's perfect too. I don't know if you can see this or not. The spacing needs to be adjusted. Yeah, I think the camera's picking that up. So before I even check that D string, I got to move it over a little bit. So I'm just sort of coaxing that over towards the G, and I am chasing it to the leading edge at the same time. Let's check that again for spacing. Okay, 12th fret. Perfect. Okay, so the first three strings, we've got the spacing good. It looks like that A could come over a little bit this way. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just nudge it over a little bit. There we go. Okay, so on to the third string. Well, the third string spacing looks good, so let's just check it for... So I will file that out slightly. Now this is a 16 thou file. It's a little bit thinner than the 18 thou string, so you saw me kind of wiggle it side to side to open that up. Now I brought that over too far. Bring it back this way a little bit. Try that again. Okay, good, liking that. Fret note. Okay, now that is 4-cent sharp. So we need to cut that back, and here's where that little brass shim stock makes all the difference in the world. I purposely pulled back before I make this cut because I want to show you how I stabilize the tool. I'm holding the whole Dremel tool firmly with my right hand. My left hand is also stabilizing because you'll see, for any of you guys that have tried this already, you know that metal burr wants to skate, you know, when it makes contact. So this is how I stabilize and make the cut. Third string, 3 cents. So we're going to check that right now. We're doing this we're checking this in real time. Okay. 12th fret. I think we pretty well got that right on the money as far as the intonation. You're going to see this all when I bring it in, I'll plug it in and you're going to get the whole enchilada here. Just going to drop the slot down a little bit. And check it again. So what's happened so far is the first 3 strings fell within the confines of that original elliptical cut that I made. The G string, as you can see, had to be notched back to get it to line up. Now we got 4 out of 6 strings perfectly in tune. Let's go to the second string. Bit of discrepancy here. Okay, it is like 2 cents sharp. But I haven't filed that out yet, and it looks like the spacing is a little tight here. So it needs, there's 2 things I'm doing. I'm filing this slot out and moving the string over this way and dropping it down at the same time and chasing it to the leading edge. Yeah, that could definitely come over more. Happy with the spacing, 100%. Now we need to cut that back 3 cents. So I'm just touching this. Quick check, 12th fret. Try that again, 12th fret fretted. Right on the money, 1st fret. Okay. Okay, so the last thing we're doing now, we've got all of the values, all 6 strings, spacing, perfect, 7th fret corresponding 19th fret, fretted note, open string, all of those notes, all of those strings, they're perfectly in tune. You can see why it's crucial to leave the nut a little bit wider, both sides, because you always want to have that little bit of forgiveness. There's a lot going on here. This is a day's work between setting this thing up and calibrating it, doing the frets, compensated nut. So now that we have the nut centered perfectly, intonated, string spacing, everything done, now and only now we can cut that back flush on both sides and glue it into place. Okay, so this is our final run here before we do the very final adjustment, which is playing the open string and fretting the 1st fret note. And that will basically wrap up all of the calibration for this guitar. Okay, let's get that nut out, trim it back. There we go, mission complete. We'll bring it in the house and let you hear. Everything has been calibrated. Boy, this is my first complete guitar setup since my heart surgery back in mid-December. So I'm moving a little slow, but I'm taking all the right steps. Let's go have a listen. So that is what we ended up with for the compensated nut. So these are 11 to 49 at concert pitch. I have found another loop. So that bridge or chorus or whatever you want to call it, we start with an A major to the C sharp minor 7 over G sharp to F sharp minor 7 to D to B minor 11, C sharp minor 11 to D major 7. So let me just play through that again. So they are the two parts. I've looped them. So that second set of chords goes like this. And again, I'm illustrating different harmonic mechanisms, different points of the neck, so that you can hear how everything kind of lines up once you get the guitar calibrated and regulated. So we'll let that play, and it's more or less kind of A major, F sharp minor, and here we go.